folks, it's Amy K, your cocktail coach here, coming at you live. It is 8:03, I think, tonight on Saturday night, and your cocktail coach is a little bit late. Ladies and gentlemen, I've had a long work day, but that's not why I'm late. I'm late because your camera woman, Steadicam Pam, that's the new nickname, it is her birthday weekend. So I've been running around like crazy just to make sure everything is signed, sealed, and delivered, ready for her special day. But yeah, that is just an excuse. I'm actually just 3 minutes late, because that's the story with me. I'm always 3 minutes late. But I'm here for you tonight. It's Saturday night. Pam, do we have one person on?
Yes.
Oh my goodness, who is it?
Allison.
Allison, you're with me tonight. It's amazing. Sending kisses and hugs. Well, tonight, folks, we are going to do for you the perfect Manhattan. Months back, way back in the beginning of this pandemic, I did the classic Manhattan. But this week, I was going back and forth thinking of what cocktail to create for all of you. And I wanted to circle back to the Manhattan, and the perfect is a classic as well. And I was feeling a little nostalgic with the city this week, because New York, we're finally lifting, we're coming through, we're pushing forward, we're getting there. So I thought, why not make us the perfect Manhattan to celebrate the city that we all love? So first things first, as I always say, we're gonna talk about our ingredients. Now, the traditional classic Manhattan calls for bourbon or rye. Rye is always the winner. Rye has a little more grip, a little more heat. It really blends well with the two vermouths and the bitters and other various bitters that you can create with as well, which I'm going to talk about tonight. Tools, as we always say, you want to have your classic mixing jar. This one was a hand-blown mixing jar that's pretty unique, but if you can't find something fancy like this, I always stress, use what you have at home. You can actually use your shaker tins that you can have, just the bigger one. You can use a cobbler shaker. You can use a mason jar. You don't have to stress if you don't have these tools. You want to have a bar spoon. I always say use chopsticks. Those work quite well. I use a julep strainer, but you can also use your actual hawthorn strainer as well, or anything that you can find in your kitchen that can strain liquid. It's going to be okay. Then we're going to use a Y peeler tonight to peel some fruit, and we have some garnishes, fresh ice, and your favorite classic cocktail glass. And as always, folks, I'm your coach. I'm here for you. DM me, ask Steadicam Pam any questions. She'll try to respond. And that's it. So we talked about the rye. We're going to talk about some vermouth. So classic Manhattan, you're doing Sweet Vermouth. Now, I don't know, some of you may not know, but in the terminology for bartenders, perfect means equal parts. We all learned something. I actually just learned that a few years ago myself. I never knew why it was called a perfect Manhattan, and then you learn. So anything perfect in a cocktail means equal. So that is why this is the perfect Manhattan. And then it calls for angostura bitters. Now, folks, I've talked to you about on many of these videos, I really love to play around with bitters. This is your cocktail. I teach you the classic method, but then I always like to tell you about a little twist that's fun. So tonight, I think we talked about this a few weeks. Pam, if you can please zoom in. Steadicam Pam, your new name. Bitter Cube Bitters is a great brand. This is the Blackstrap, which has cinnamon, clove, orange notes. And I just think it's really gonna blend well and do justice to this drink. So we're gonna do two different types of bitters tonight. But again, the classic perfect Manhattan is Angostura bitters. Now, Cinzano, Antica is the traditional, the Super Bowl, the Wimbledon, the home run of all sweet vermouths. But we've been using Cinzano in quarantine because, quite honest, it is a little less expensive. It still does what you need for all the drinks. We actually use this at a lot of our bars where I work, and it's a great home bar sweet vermouth. Dolan Dry, honestly, with Dry Vermouth, I'm not gonna lie, this is what you should get all the time. Any other ones you see, you can do it, but I actually really this is tried and true. Try to do, doesn't break the bank. It's very delicious. We know about Rittenhouse. Definitely various ryes you can get your hands on. Rittenhouse, I always say, it's a good bang for your buck. It's delicious. Bartenders love it. It's talked about in a lot of various cocktail books, so definitely always try to get your hands on Rittenhouse. A lot of heat in Rittenhouse. It really brings the burn in a good way. So I think we should make this drink. What do you think, Pam?
I think so.
Birthday weekend, I think Pam's going to be drinking this. So
got some people watching, so.
Maybe Saturday night at 8:03 is the new night. It could be this bow tie that Winnie Stubbs sent me a few months back. She's been busting my chops for not wearing it a lot. So this is, you know, for Winnie tonight. It's my Superwoman tie. So I stress this every time I make drinks. For all of you, I always say start with the least expensive ingredients first as you build up, because it's good to taste things, it's good to build and taste as you go. And gosh knows I've done it where I'll be pouring the rye and I'll be like, whoa, I just poured way too much rye. And then you have something else already mixed in it and you're like, I totally messed up. So it's good to kind of start your way up. In this case, we're dealing with a lot of various very good spirits, so be careful when you're making this. Don't have any drinks beforehand. So, Pam, let's zoom in, and enough of me in this bow tie. Let's make a drink. So the Perfect Manhattan, you're gonna do a half of your Sweet Vermouth and a half of your Dry Vermouth. And like I always tell you folks, we're in quarantine still, so if you need to do a little more, that's okay. A little boom for my sister Jill. It's the shout out, hashtag boom. And then we're gonna do 2 ounces of your rye. Pour that right in. Another note on this delicious drink, the Manhattan, folks, is basically a variation of the classic old fashioned, except instead of your simple syrup, aka sugar, you're substituting it with Sweet Vermouth. And another fun little side note of history, as much as you've read and as much as you've heard, no. Winston Churchill's mother did not invent this cocktail. There's a big rumor that she was the inventor. There is a rumor that it got started years ago at the Manhattan Club, but we're not quite sure exactly what story is true. I truly like to listen to the Winston Churchill story. I think that's a fun one, so whatever your beliefs are. Brian Bartles, historian, coming out with a good book. He probably knows the answer. So Brian, when you're watching, put it in my comments. I bet you know. So what I always tell folks is, with the old-fashioned, it's really important to do the bitters last. But when you're doing your Manhattan or any variation like we're doing tonight, you want to stir the bitters in. So like I said, we're going to do 2 of the classic Ango, and we're going to jazz it up tonight, and we're going to do 2 of the bitter cube, just to have a little fun difference. And when you're stirring your drink, you want to use really nice clean ice. And a trick that I've learned long ago, when you're stirring, you're going to stir this until you feel this jar get pretty ice cold. It's usually about a good 30 seconds. You basically feel the ice just come together as one, kind of like when you're beating an egg. But if you're in a hurry and you want to make this drink a little faster and you have lots of party guests waiting, it's fun to chip the ice because it's going to get everything much colder. And I'm going to get ice chipping everywhere in this house, but that's okay. This is a little trick that Jim Betts taught me many moons ago when we used to work together.
Interesting that you say that. Jim Betts just joined us.
Oh, hello, Jim Betts. Your ears must be burning. Let me circle back. So, Jim, we're making the Perfect Manhattan, and I just told the crew a nice trick that you taught me many moons ago when you need to really get this drink colder quicker. You want to chip that ice right in this beautiful mixing jar. So Jim, I guess you've known. Jim, it's Pam's birthday this weekend. I was a little late tonight, that's why. So like I said, when you're at home, you can taste this as you go. And you can kind of really feel everything coming together. You can play around. I actually personally want to add a little touch more bitters. Now, when you're mixing this in front of your guests, those of us that are bartenders, you don't want to do this taste and put the spoon back. Do a little straw taste and disregard that straw. I feel like we should be playing like Frank Sinatra tonight. So now we are gonna pour this right. Pam, let's zoom in and hope for the best. All right, all right, all right, all right. Look at that. Oh my goodness. So this is your classic old-fashioned, what we call a Nick and Nora glass. But I always say use a martini glass. You can actually serve this on the rocks as well, but I think it's best to go with the classic. Now, folks, what we're gonna do, Perfect Manhattan doesn't always call for the brandied cherry, but I actually think it's a nice touch. And then we are gonna balance this out with a lemon twist. Like I stress time and time again, when we're peeling our lemon, don't move the right hand that's peeling, because guess what's gonna happen? You are gonna rip off this nice, beautiful manicure that I had for you tonight. So you basically want to just twist with the opposite hand, and then that will make you a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful lemon zest. And then we're going to express that right over the drink. Touch that. And there you have it, folks. This is your classic Perfect Manhattan. I'm here for you always. I love being your cocktail coach. I hope you keep following me on these Instagram nights. Please DM me for any questions. If you think a better day we could do these so I could have more than 5 of you following. But those of you that are here, I'm grateful, I'm thankful. Love you all. Stay safe. Happy birthday, Pamela Stubbs. This is for her. Thank you. Cheers. Woo!